Yes, well, the line that came out of this final press conference between President Macron and the African leaders here was that we're all in this together, that it's important for French forces to continue their work, but equally important to increase the capacities of local security forces as well. So they didn't want to kind of give the impression that there were kind of distinctions in the overall goals here. Of course, on the question of anti-French sentiment, well, President Macron got a resounding reply to that from the other leaders here. They did sign on to a very clear pledge to support continuing French presence, and he was also thanking the African leaders here for what he said was their condemnation of that anti-French sentiment. But yes, of course, there is an overarching strategic imperative here, which is that everybody has to work together to try to sort out this problem in the Sahel.
So everyone working together sounds like a great ideal, but what has come concretely out of the summit? Anything likely to have any measurable effect on the current strategy in the region?
There are some concrete things on the military front. Firstly, they've all agreed to set up a joint command to deal with jihadists in specific areas, actually in a very large, it has to be said, border area, Liptako-Gourma, which stretches between Mali, Niger, and Burkina Faso. This is the area where the French are going to increase their troop numbers. They'll add another 220, and they also want to integrate the G5 military force into that same commando structure, basically to have much better coordination and hopefully to have more effective attacks on jihadists. Obviously, we don't know how effective that's going to be. We'll have to see in the coming months.
So beyond what France is pledging, do you get the sense that the Sahel nations are happy with the overall international support that they're currently getting in tackling extremist instability in the region?
Well, I mean, I got the sense from the president of Burkina, who spoke quite at length here, that he's grateful that this summit has kind of focused on the area that everyone should concentrate on in terms of security, and also on who the actual threat is. So everybody here was agreeing that their priority has to be the fight against the Islamic State in the Greater Sahara. That doesn't mean they won't attack other groups, but GS is the top priority now. So I think Kabore was pretty grateful for that. But I think there's been a gap between what some of these African leaders were saying before the summit, which were a bit hostile in a way to the international community. I mean, for example, the president of Niger had been saying the international community is dragging its feet and we don't understand why. There were much more tame, or at least warmer comments here in Pau, praising various actors in the international community, particularly the Europeans who were represented at this summit. And there were thanks from the Sahel leaders to them in respect of various Franco-German initiatives which are aimed to improve the training of local security forces and also improving development aid. But again, of course, Georgia, will have to see in the coming months whether all this remains fine words or whether it will translate into a kind of renewed political will and more money and more action on the ground. The next kind of point at which to take stock of all that is going to be the G5 Sahel plus France summit in Nouakchott in Mauritania in June 2020.
Thanks very much. Armin Georgian there for us.